Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Take 3 podcast. I know we've been away for quite some time, but we're back now and we've brought a guest, as well as my co-host Ryan. Ryan, how have you been?
I've been all right. I'm glad to come back after a small hiatus.
It's glad to have you back, and I'm very glad to have the first guest of the Take 3 podcast, Chris. Welcome.
Hello, thank you very much for having me.
Right, I think we should just get right into it.
Jump right in.
Do it.
Yes. We have missed so much, so we're not going to go back to the Rogue One trailer, to the Power Rangers trailer. We're just going to do a review of the last week of movie news. And there are three big topics that we want to talk about. And our first big topic, Guardians of the Galaxy 2 trailer. Ryan, hit us off with your review.
I loved it because I love everything Guardians of the Galaxy because I'm a sci-fi nerd and space operas just get to me. And I loved the first one so much. And the second one looks like it'll be even greater. I just love the visuals. I love what James Gunn puts into it. I love what his actors put into it. And I just, there's so much in here that's just so perfect. I mean, from the final shot with Rocket and Groot to getting to see Nebula again and Gamora, and just the way it was put together for just a little sneak peek really surprised me how much effort they seem to have put into it. So I was very impressed with how well how well put together this little teaser was.
Chris, what are you expecting from this new movie, from the trailer?
Well, what I'm expecting from the trailer thus far is a slightly altered direction. Sort of like how from the first film, how it was a little more straightforward, but also, very fun and pretty funny with a great soundtrack. But I do expect this time there to be just a little more deviation, one or two little twists, one or two little things that maybe you don't see coming. Because the thing that I didn't enjoy actually about the first film was, believe it or not, it was actually the chemistry between the characters. I didn't feel it, at least until probably the last 20 minutes of the film. So if this time we can have them actually really act like a family, which it looks like in the trailer they are thus far, I am giving James Gunn 100% credit on him actually hooking these actors all together. But that's what I'm looking for, is just a slight different direction and a better sense of family, or a better chemistry between the actors.
That's a very good input. I agree with you both. Do you think, from the trailer, it looks a little darker, but with that same humour? How dark do you think this movie could get? Because we're nearing the end of Phase 3, I believe, and we're starting to really get into the Thanos storyline. How dark could this movie go?
This could easily be the Empire Strikes Back of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and I don't mean that in terms of like the tone and the execution, but I really just mean like in the sense of the real build up, how it started off light and fun, and some stuff got thrown in there to really shake us up, but now things are gonna start to happen where our heroes are gonna come out a little different. There's going to be some stuff that goes down, and lives are going to be absolutely changed. Some characters might not even make it out of this film alive. It just could. It's going to be that build-up movie. That's how I'm predicting this.
Yeah, I think Chris is right in more ways than one, just because of I think we will see that tonality shift um, in an Empire Strikes Back sort of way. But I also think that since we find out who Luke's father is in Empire Strikes Back, well, we're about to find out just who exactly Star Lord's father is. So that's something I'm really, really excited to see. Um, I've been interested to see how they're going to do it. If he is Ego the Living Planet, I don't really understand. That confuses me, but I'm excited to be taught, and I'm excited to learn how that all works in. So I think it's just world building, and yeah, I think there will be a slight tonal shift towards the darker side, but still keeping that integral humor that Guardians of the Galaxy does so perfectly.
I think the tonal shift between the really darkness, because you get to see Gamora running and doing the action stuff, but then you also get the comedy with Drax and Chris Pratt. Ryan, have you got anything to say on this topic?
Oh, I just think that James Gunn knows what he's doing as far as the humor in these films goes, and I just really look forward to see how he does with a sequel, because I can't think of any that he's done in the past. There probably is one, and I just don't know. But as far as I can tell, this is his first sequel, so I'm really interested to see how he deals with that, how he goes forward with this story with these established characters. And he really seems to have a handle on this universe, or at least his part of it, his section of it. But I really can't wait to see how he how he progresses and builds on what he already has.
We saw that brilliant last shot of Rocket and Groot. How do you think their relationship's going to change, or is it actually going to change? Is it going to stay the same as the first one, even though it's Baby Groot and not Big Groot?
Um, I think that sure. I mean, Rocket. It always felt to me in the first movie and even in the comics that Groot was always just a big baby anyway. He kind of he can only say 3 words, and obviously he's saying a lot more that we don't understand. But he always just kind of had a childish mentality to me in a good way, in a sweet, fun-loving. He was almost like a big puppy, a big dog. And now I think that dynamic is kind of just going to stay about the same, where Rocket's there to take care of him and be his friend and protect him, be his protector, be his guide. It almost feels like Rocket's always guiding Groot, through life and through the world. I mean, even in the beginning when he's of the first movie, when Groot is drinking from the fountain, like a dog or a child would, and Rocket has to scold him, saying that it's nasty to drink from a public fountain and stuff. So I think that dynamic is actually going to stay just about the same, to be honest.
It's a great question. I feel like the dynamic. You know what? Actually, to be honest, I think Ryan actually kind of hit the nail pretty much right on the head. Where now that Baby Groot is gonna sort of be like a child for Rocket to take care of. It's gonna sort of lead us to a very interesting father-son dynamic, or a quasi father-son dynamic, if you will, that will really make the audience actually care even more about these characters that we already care so much about. And actually, one quick thing I want to quick note. While James Gunn has never technically directed a sequel, he actually did write a sequel when he wrote Scooby-Doo and Scooby-Doo 2.
Oof. Okay. Well, we'll see then. That doesn't exactly inspire confidence.
Exactly. Unfortunately, yes.
Why did you even bring up Scooby-Doo?
Hey, he's honest though.
I was gonna say, yeah, and I just, I pay attention to details, unfortunately.
Okay, you didn't. You just didn't. You just ruined the mood. Okay,
funny.
let's just move on.
Moving
okay?
on.
Let's just move on from Scooby-Doo. We got another trailer, another Marvel trailer done by Fox. Logan. My first thoughts on this trailer was that it looks so different from any other X-Men movie, and it gets me so excited because the raw emotion that this trailer shows looks fantastic. The music used perfectly, and I'm gonna say this, I'm gonna pose the same question to you. My favourite shot in the trailer, the trailer was when Xavier, X-23, and Wolverine are sitting down and smiling and having dinner. That was beautiful. Chris, what was your favourite moment in the trailer?
Well, you already stole mine. But no, in all seriousness, that still is one of my favorite moments. But my other favorite moment is where he is standing shirtless in front of the mirror, and you just see how damaged Logan is, and you're just like, dude, what the heck have you been doing to yourself? Like, what? Well, who have you been fighting? Who have you been trying to kill, or who's trying to kill you? You're just like, you know, there's so much that each scar on him is telling me. Each one of those scars is its own story, and you're like, okay, I want to know these stories. And yeah, even though I will admit I'm not too big of a fan of Johnny Cash's version of Hurt, I'm more of a sucker for the original personally. But yeah, the music just brought so much out of it, and in a trailer that had next to no dialogue, you need that. And yeah, no, this is one of the best trailers of the year, hands down.
Ryan, you're a big Western music fan. How do you
Yes.
think the music was used? And would you use a different piece of music for this trailer, possibly?
I don't think I've ever heard a piece of music better used in a trailer. In fact, the last time I can think of one used so correctly would be the original Guardians of the Galaxy trailer with
I was
Hooked on a
about to say,
Feeling by Blue Swede. But I love this song. I'm going to go opposite of Chris. I think I prefer this one just a little bit more. But as soon as I heard those opening notes and the trailer began, I knew that Fox finally got it right because the Wolverine was good, the ending was weak, and Wolverine Origins might as well not exist. So it looks as though Fox has finally figured out what to do with a Wolverine solo movie with Logan, and it just looks so great. And as far as my favorite moment, I would have to say my favorite moment is when you see two sets of twin claws stabbing down at Logan and he blocks with his own. And that 100% confirms beyond any doubt that we're going to see X-23 versus Wolverine. And I've waited, I don't even know how long to see that. I kept thinking that they were going to introduce her in previous movies and waiting and waiting and waiting. And now finally we're actually going to get X-23. So yeah, I'm beyond excited for this movie. I can't wait.
It's also Hugh Jackman's last portrayal of Wolverine. This looks like the movie to send him off very fashionably. You bring up the other X-Men movies. How do you think Logan will fit in with the others, or does it stand alone?
By my understanding, it truly does stand on its own, simply due to the fact that it takes place so many years post X3, post the Wolverine and all that other stuff. Like, and it's gonna be it would be like well, it's kind of like what Force Awakens did, how it set itself 30 years post the original trilogy. So there's so much room to play in now that they're not held down by continuity, which, as all the fans know, Fox does not give two bits about continuity in the X-Men films.
Not at all.
So now that we're finally getting away from the main story and just sort of having it on its own, you can do whatever you want and not have to worry about the continuity that much.
Yeah, I'd agree with Chris as far as it's going to stand by itself. I think the only way that this movie will come into play with any of the rest of the continuity is if they have a cable time travel storyline where he goes to the future and picks up X-23 somehow and brings her to the modern day so that she can be a part of X-Force. I don't really see necessarily them doing that, but that's the only way I could see it tying into what exists now. I think that Logan was written to be a standalone, and I think that that's how it's going to be played out. And I think that's what we're going to see is just this is Hugh Jackman's last film. It's Wolverine as we know it. I think it's going to be another couple years before we see try to recast Wolverine, but they're gonna have to do it eventually because he's everybody's favorite. But we'll be waiting a while, I believe. And I really, really hope that this is the send off that Hugh Jackman deserves because he's been absolutely incredible for the past decade or decade and a half as Wolverine. So yeah, I really cannot wait.
I think that brings us to our next topic. Basically, today we're just going to be talking Marvel because Marvel just dominate the news. We're talking Tim Miller and Deadpool. This was such a surprise that Fox and Tim Miller parted ways. I don't really care why, I'm just sad. Chris, what are your first thoughts on Tim Miller leaving Deadpool and the impact that it will have on Deadpool 2?
Well, my first thought is I'm surprised simply due to the fact that these two guys worked so in sync on the first film that it really does make you wonder what happened to make it so that it just fell apart. Now, I'm not going based off of what's been reported thus far. I'm just gonna use my common sense and say it's been a multitude of things, but a multitude of disagreements between both himself and Ryan Reynolds as to why it didn't work out. And that happens. That happens. It's why Gary Kurtz left Return of the Jedi. They were in dispute of where to take the story, and when you're at a stalemate, one has to give way. And in this case, it was Tim Miller who said, "I'm sorry, I'm stepping away." But I'm glad that it's not like they left on bad terms. But this happened, and you know I actually don't see it affecting the movie that much necessarily because I do believe Ryan Reynolds will, help shepherd in the new director, and they'll still make a great product regardless.
Yeah, I agree with Chris as far as I don't think it'll make a huge difference, but I'm still disappointed because Tim Miller, he did so well with the first one. It was such a success, and I think I understand why maybe they weren't getting along. It seemed like there were a lot of choices having to do with casting and whatever. All of those rumors that are swimming around, a lot of them actually kind of make sense, which is maybe why they're so popular in the first place. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter, I guess, is my point, because he's gone anyway. And so now they're going to have to find somebody else. And I really don't think it's that big of an issue because it's whatever Ryan Reynolds has in mind. That's what's going to happen because he's such an influential force behind Deadpool. He has been for whoever even knows how long. He's wanted to get these movies made for so long, and the first one did so well because of his pushing it along and babying it to the point where it was released in theaters as a rated R film, rated R superhero film. So I think that whoever takes Tim Miller's place will be serviceable enough to give us. It wasn't as though I felt like it was Tim Miller's Deadpool. It felt like it was Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. So as long as Ryan Reynolds is still around, I think we're going to end up with a very good sequel still. And also Paul Wernick and Rhett Reese, the writers, who I'm huge fans of. I love Zombieland as well. I think that if they left, then we would be in big trouble. But because they seem to be sticking around, I think we're still going to end up with a really well done film.
You say Ryan Reynolds has such an impact on Fox's decisions and the movie. I agree too. To be honest, Deadpool was a very simplistic film, a very go by numbers kind of romance plot. It was Ryan Reynolds who made the film and the writing, and Ryan Reynolds paid out of his own pocket to have the writers on set. A lot of the stuff that he did was improv. So I know this may seem it might seem a little harsh, but I don't think Deadpool will miss Tim Miller too much. They
Nope.
just, they just
Nope.
need to get a good director, someone who's good with working with big actors like Ryan Reynolds and can direct a movie. Ryan, who do you think should take on the Deadpool franchise?
Yeah, see, I was thinking about this, have been for a little while, kind of been running it through my head, and I honestly can't come up with anybody that I right off the bat think needs to be on this project or else it won't succeed because again, I think it's so interchangeable. But I will say right off the top of my head, and this is, I don't know, this could be the worst decision ever, which is why I'm not a movie producer, but I think Ruben Fleischer, who directed Zombieland and Gangster Squad, let's forget about that one. But he did such a great job, I think, with Zombieland, and he has worked with Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick on their script before. So I think that he has a good style that almost Tim Miller, the way he directed Deadpool, especially with that opening credit scene, it reminded me of Zombieland, and I felt like it had the same similar style that Ruben Fleischer had. So I wouldn't totally hate the idea of him coming on. I think that Gangster Squad could easily just be a fluke, and he's actually really well talented. So I would like, or rather not like, but I would be interested to see Ruben Fleischer come onto the project.
Ruben Fleischer wouldn't be a bad choice. Um, However, I'm gonna for my own choice, I'm gonna reach out to my schmo's spirit animal, who is Harloff, and I'm gonna say Matthew Vaughn. I think that aside from the fact that he already has experience in this film universe and already has done just mostly phenomenal work, I think he would actually be the right guy to blend, sort of the great action and the good comedy between himself and Ryan Reynolds. It could be a really interesting chemistry there. I think they could pull it off.
I could see that. I could see that being a great one.
Chris, you stole my choice.
Revenge.
I think he's Matthew Vaughn would work very well. You've seen the violence and the crude humor in movies such as Layer Cake and obviously Kingsman, but he also has worked with Fox with X-Men First Class, so it's kind of like a perfect match if we think about it.
Oh, easily. Or like how he did Kick Ass and again blended the comedy with the action so beautifully. I think Deadpool 2 could almost be a cakewalk for him.
My only thing though is, won't that, were he to do Deadpool, that would be like his sixth something odd, I think it was his sixth or seventh comic book film. I almost wonder if he's even interested in doing it, or if he would be interested in doing it. I just, for some reason, I really don't think he would want to step. I don't. To me, it almost feels like he would be stepping down into Deadpool because of all the other. Not saying that Deadpool wasn't great or Deadpool 2 won't be, but just the level of the other movies he seems to be doing, they seem like his projects. And I feel like he would be stepping down into Deadpool 2 and stepping into somebody else's world, Ryan Reynolds' world. And for some reason, I would love to see Matthew Vaughn do it, but for some reason, I just don't think he would have any interest in it. Am I totally off base here?
You know what? No, I actually totally get your point. In fact, the only reason that I am also championing Matthew Vaughn is simply because of just how talented he is and how how much quality he does bring to a lot of his stuff. I mean, yeah, no, of course, I want to see him do stuff outside the comic book genre, but at the same time, you know, would like okay, to use another example, Michael Jordan. When he first left basketball, he wanted to go. He went over to baseball, and
Right.
he didn't do terribly, but
Not the
he was.
same.
It wasn't the same, and he was much better in basketball. So that's I guess that's my 2 cents on.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah. I would love to see him do that.
I have no idea what you just said.
Well, to be fair, you're on a little bit on the younger side, which is totally cool, man. It's totally cool. But I remember that was a big deal back in the '90s.
Welcome to America.
Rather
Yeah,
not, thanks.
I was gonna say, can you explain punting to me?
I think I get it now after weeks and weeks of watching the Top 10 show.
Rest in peace, Top 10 show.
Top 10, come back. That's off topic, my bad.
Yeah. Matthew Vaughn's doing Kingsman 2, so it's kind of a fantasy, us playing around with the idea of him doing Deadpool 2. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. Unless, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, there's probably no way he could fit it in.
I'll say, well,
No.
to be fair, right now, Kingsman is in post-production, so
Okay.
there is a possibility. I'm not saying that he should just drop everything right now and do it, but depending on how long it takes for shooting to start, there is a possibility he could still do it.
Does anybody remember off the top of their head when Deadpool 2 is supposed to come out?
2017.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's soon.
No, not 2017, sorry, 2018.
Yeah,
Right,
yeah, sorry,
okay,
sorry, there we go.
yeah. Early, yeah. I guess, yeah, he could if he really wanted to. If he had the desire and if they offered him the money, he could do it, absolutely.
People have been saying Quentin Tarantino to do Deadpool 2.
Hell no. That's not a great choice at all. I mean, don't get me wrong. Reservoir Dogs is in my top 10 favorite films of all time, but I don't want Tarantino anywhere near a comic book film because Tarantino makes Tarantino films.
Yes.
Yeah. His style just doesn't really fit it. He is his own. His movies are him, and Deadpool just isn't him. Yes, it's ultra violent. Sure, fine. Yes, there's a lot of F words, but just because it's violent and has F words doesn't mean that it'll be a good Quentin Tarantino film. I just don't think he would really know what to do with it. I'm sure he would figure something out, but I don't think it would be the best Deadpool movie that we could possibly get, as we might with somebody else like a Matthew Vaughn.
You hit the nail right on the head. I actually got nothing. No, because between between what I've already said and between what Ryan said in response, yeah, that's simply put. I mean, look, all due respect to the guy who started that petition on Change.org, don't get your hopes up. And even if you got a ton of signatures, Quentin's still gonna say no, and I want him to say no.
Yeah.
I think everyone wants him to say no. Just stay away and do Kill Bill 3. That's what we want.
Yes.
That's definitely what we want. And we're going to move on to our next Marvel topic of the 4 we have today. Doctor Strange. I'm lucky and I live in England, so I get to see it 10 days before any of you people in America can get to see it.
Yeah, thanks for rubbing it in.
Lucky.
Just move over to England. You'll enjoy it. Right, I put my review up on the Take 3 podcast channel. It's up now. What I'm going to do is give a brief overview of what I was saying in the review. First of all, everybody in America get excited for this film. Film's really, really good. Film is really, really, really good. First of all, Benedict Cumberbatch, really, really good as Sherlock. So is Chiwetel Ejiofor. So is Tilda Swinton. Tilda Swinton actually really surprised me. I thought she was just going to be a classic master, but she brings something new to the performance, which I didn't think she'd actually bring. And you've got Rachel McAdams. Rachel McAdams and Benedict Cumberbatch's relationship ground the film very well. The first 60 minutes of the film is all him learning about the magic and the majesty, and it goes very visually different for quite some parts of the film. So you need something to keep the film grounded, and their relationship keeps it grounded, and that's something to really look forward to. As well as this, and I don't think I've seen a Marvel film do something like this since Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's the themes of the film. They plant seeds in the first act and a half, and then those 2 themes are brought into the spotlight in what I think is one of the greatest Marvel conversations between two characters that there have ever been. It's superb. You're gonna love it. I'm gonna tell you that you're gonna love it because you are gonna love it because I loved it because that's the point that I said in the film. This film is one of my favourite Marvel movies. Yes, some of the parts are a little paint by numbers, but it really does have special things as well as the performances and the themes. The humor in this movie is very good. I just can't wait to go see this movie again, and I can't wait for everybody in America to finally go see this movie when it comes out November 4th, I think it is. And finally, I get to talk spoilers because it's very hard not to talk spoilers.
I say, yeah, you better not.
Ryan, how excited are you for this film from what I've been saying?
The last time I was this excited for a movie was The Force Awakens, and that was a hot minute ago. I have been a huge Doctor Strange fan for a while. Reading the Avengers comics growing up, it was always some of my favorite issues when he would pop in and out. Um, so I always really cherished those moments, and I always thought he was really cool. What he said and what he did, and the robe and the cloak of levitation that he has, just everything about his world was so impressive to me. So when I finally heard that, number one, they were doing a Doctor Strange movie, I was excited. And then once I heard Benedict Cumberbatch, who is one of my favorite actors, when I heard that he was going to be Stephen Strange, I pretty much lost my mind. I didn't think that this movie would get that amazing, but it is. It's at that point now where I just cannot believe how excited I am for this movie. I'm wicked jealous that you already saw it. I can't believe that you get to go see it again whenever this weekend, and I have to wait a whole other week and a half before I can even think about seeing it. So, yeah, I can't wait. Trailers look amazing, castings are amazing, and everything about this movie just has me so pumped.
Chris, what are you looking forward to most in this film?
What I'm looking forward to most in this particular MCU movie is just how away from the MCU can we get, but still be an MCU movie. Because this is now, if I recall, the 11th film in the franchise, and we're, and it's sort of been a lot of the same stuff, you know. Bad guy tries to take over the world. Good guy stops bad guy. Sort of awkward romance along the way. But this time around, from the trailers and from everything I've heard so far, we're actually, you know, refining the formula to a point where it actually does feel different, and it feels genuinely different. It's not like where it's just, oh, it's different enough, like in the case of Civil War or um, Ant-Man. Sorry. This time I'm really excited for this film. I'm really excited to see what Benedict Cumberbatch can bring to this role. I'm really excited to see a supporting cast, and just for the effects, I'm like, oh my god, this looks like just the most eye-pleasing thing ever.
I will say this: those shots that you see, those scenes, all those sequences are perfectly directed and they look fabulous.
Good.
Awesome. So, just so excited.
And by the way, guys, I'm probably going to be seeing it quite a few times before you even get to see it once. So yeah,
All right,
just
we get it. We get it.
yeah.
A
I
little
just
more
had to.
salt in the wound. It's all good.
I can't help myself. It's just fun. I get every single Marvel movie before you, and I get Star Wars one day before you.
Yeah, nothing to say. No comment.
No comment I'm allowed to say on this
Right,
podcast.
right, exactly.
Okay, yeah. Save it for afterwards, guys. I believe that brings us to the end of our Marvel talk. And there's something very special that we're about to talk about. Something that's very special to me. I've been working on this for months and months. it's been so hard to organise these fan schmodowns. You saw the RB3 and Ryan Snelling schmodown, that's up on my other channel, Red Grade. All the other schmodowns will be put on the Take 3 podcast channel because it's presented by me, Ryan, and sometimes Chris. I'd like to announce that Chris will sometimes be co-hosting the Schmodown when either me or Ryan is unable to make it, or if me and Ryan are competing in the Schmodown. The fan Schmodown will be once a month, and Chris, he has a match up next. Now, you guys don't know what I'm about to say. Chris, you will be facing Ryan in the coming future in the Fan Movie Trivia Schmodown. It's gonna happen very soon, either this week or possibly in the next couple of weeks. What do you guys think? Start us off, Ryan.
I'm nervous, absolutely, but also excited because I know that I know some things and I know that I don't know other things. So for me, I think it's going to be a huge luck of the draw. Certainly not, very good. Well, I'll say this. I can remember things, but only for so long. So if I'm asked a question about something I used to know back in the day, I'm screwed. But hopefully, these questions I'm lucky enough to know some of the answers to. Excuse me. So yeah, I can't wait to see how well I do because I have no gauge. I don't know how well I'm going to do because I've never done this before. So I'm really excited to try my hand at it. And I think that Chris is going to be a worthy opponent. But unfortunately, he's going down. I mean, come on, guys. Let's be honest.
All right, now Ryan, I'm gonna level you for 2 seconds here. Every day when I wake up, there are two things I do. That's eat my cereal and kick a lot of butt. And right now, I'm all out of cereal, bud.
We'll see. We'll see.
So that day when I wake up, I'm gonna eat it, and then I'm gonna eat you.
Oh, coming with the burns. Ryan, what do you
Big
want to say
words.
about
Big
that?
words.
No, but all joking aside, man, I am beyond honored to first off come on this podcast, and then second off be offered a chance to participate in a fan schmodown. So, dude, best of luck to you. And
Right back at you.
And may the better man win.
Absolutely. Yeah. I think that's what's so awesome about this match between us is I've never done this. I don't think you've ever done this. So
I've never done this.
Yeah, exactly. So to me, I don't even know what's going to happen. Nobody knows what's going to happen. I think that's what makes it really special and exciting. It's the inaugural episode as far as the actual fans competing. We've had Schmoville and Schmoes No. We've had those guys compete, but these are the fans of the fans. So we're the major underdogs, and I really can't wait to see where it goes from here, where our little fan schmodown league goes from here, and this schmodown is what's going to start it all. So I'm excited.
Oh yeah, and you know what? This is actually really funny because earlier this year, myself, Ryan McKenna, Jake Stanley, some of us in the Schmoville Facebook group were actually looking to start our own league, but just for some reason, due to improper planning and someone getting shot down by the admins, of course, we had to sort of put that on hold. But now it's like now this is happening. It's like, oh my gosh, this is actually going to take off. What? So, now one of my dreams of a fan schmodown league is finally happening. It's like, yes.
And it's all Harvey, man, too. Like, this is all him. He's been championing this thing since before I've even known him. And to me, it's incredible how far, I mean, getting Ryan Snelling and RB3 to battle each other in movie trivia, that's like, I don't even know how he swung that. And talking with Harloff about being able to get this thing off the ground in the first place, I mean, that took balls, man, to go ahead and say, you know what, I'm going to contact the head honcho. I certainly wouldn't have been brave enough to just be like, oh, hey, what's going on, Christian? I want to do this fan schmodown. Let's do this thing. And also props to Christian for being cool enough to say, yeah, you guys go on ahead. because I think this will be really something special, and I can't wait for all the Schmoes No fans to see it, because I think this is going to be so fun. I cannot wait.
Dude, this is gonna be the greatest thing ever. And yeah, Harvey, dude, like pat yourself on the back, man. This is
Seriously.
so incredible to be a part of.
Well, thank you guys for the lovely comments. I mean, Ryan Snelling's been a big help, you know, plugging it on Schmoville, and RB3's been plugging it, so they've been and I can't wait to see this take off. I've been just the Fan Schmodown took my entire summer away from me. I was just constantly organising, trying to get the Snelling and RB3 match happen. It finally happened. I've got some big matches planned. I'm not gonna say who, because it might not happen, because I've had so many people I've asked to say yeah, but then they don't reply, so it's all fun. But I'm very excited for Chris versus Ryan in the near future. And I hope everyone who's listening is also excited too. It's going to be a great match.
Can't wait.
Can't wait.
And I think that about brings us to an end. Chris, where can they find you on the interwebs?
All right, you guys can find me on my musical project, Last Shot at Redemption, at LSAR Band MN.
And Ryan, where can they find you?
Yeah, I just want to go off of what Chris just said real quick. I listened to his music, guys. Anybody that's listening to this podcast, and it's great. It's incredible. I loved it. I was just sitting there kind of just chilling out with my speakers and just zoning out, and it's great music for that. I kind of fell into it. So I was really happy that I was able to get to know him and start listening. But yeah, so great job on that. And as far as me, you guys can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Clan McClellan. That's Clan MCLELLAN. And you guys have a great rest of your week.